I listen back to what they liked, and then we go from there.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah. And for like on an audition, if you go to the place, they'll have like an idea. They'll say, okay, maybe do it a little more like this or a little bit like that.
With direction, they fine-tune it. So nothing that I've ever worked on is something that I came up with, and that's what it's always input from many people.
Cool.
Definitely. Yes, hello.
Hello. That's my voice is going.
That's okay, it's first day.
Yeah, see, I was working on Sunday.
You'll see.
When you ended up being cast for Pokemon, did you have any idea how big the franchise was or was going to become at the time? And when it did blow up to being, the biggest thing going at the time, what was it kind of like to be, the main voice on the show that every kid watched at that point in time?
Well, nobody had any idea. Maybe 4Kids had an inkling when they acquired the project, I suppose. But we had no idea. I'd worked on other anime before, and they said, "Oh, it's going to be on TV." And we all thought, "Oh yeah, sure, okay." But when you work on something that's voice related, you're alone in a little booth for hours. And if you're lucky, you have a director and you have an engineer, and you just work away. And that's all we did for that first year. And then I heard there were articles about it, and we kind of heard that people were watching it. Had no idea that still today we'd be talking about it. But I think it wasn't until I started going to conventions that I really realized the impact. And the fact that there is something that we all have experienced together in our own living rooms and on the playgrounds and in games and in all of this, that we have this secret language that we share. It's amazing to me and quite humbling that something that I cared about so much, other people have cared about too. So it's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello. I was wondering if you had any thoughts about working as a voiceover artist, how it's different in getting hired and working, making connections versus a normal actor or like a stage actor versus television actor versus voiceover artist. Any insights as to how the industries are kind of different, any similarities?
Well, I do think it's easier when your face is known to get work in a way because people recognize that, and sometimes you're hired because of that. As a name of someone, it's harder to kind of have that cachet to get other jobs, I was just looking at is it the Thrilling Adventure Show? Is that the name of the podcast? That's here,
Yeah.
Right? So there's something really funny about a live radio show where you know these people from TV, and you're like, oh, that's the guy from, and then that's really funny. You would see me, nobody knows me as someone else, they just know the voice. So there's a whole different thing to that, I think, on networking and getting other work. But voice work is acting. So you still have to network, you still have to meet people, you need to meet with them face to face so that they know you're not totally crazy and that they would want to work with you. The work is still the same. You never know if you're going to have another job. You just never know what's coming down the pike. So it is acting. It's just that all you have is your voice. And if you're sick, you could go and be on a TV show and have a bit of a cold, but you can't go to work when you have a cold. So you have to really take extra good care of yourself.
So do you think like the voice acting community, if it's such a thing, kind of good with helping each other out and opening doors for each other within the industry?
I think to a certain extent. I mean, I certainly recommend people that I work with when someone meets someone and they say, "Oh, do you know someone who could do a 90-year-old man and also could do a I certainly recommend people, and so we do all work together. So yes, I think that it's quite helpful. But at the same time, there's not a lot of work, so it's not like you're constantly saying, I have this audition, but you'd be so much better. I think you should go instead of me. I wish I could do that. because I work with so many wonderful people, and that would be great. But I am an actor, I want to play everything, so. Mhm. Hello. Hi.
Again. So, this is a question for you. I asked you this already. There's this other anime called His and Her Circumstances.
Uh-huh.
You play the character named Yukino. Can you please tell us about the anime and your character?
Yeah, so His and Her Circumstances is in a high school, and I played Yukino Miyazaki, I think, Miyazawa, and thank you. She never said her last name really in the show, so it's fun. So what I loved about that is that she basically, I think, is all of us. She experiences all of these emotions, but unlike all of us, almost all at the same time. She can be so high and happy and then angry the next minute, and she's all over the place. And it was such fun to be able to play that. In fact, my worst moment ever was in that show, where she would have these long yells with a spiraling background, and I was yelling out all on one breath, which you shouldn't really do. And then I stopped, and then I just fainted because I had run out of breath. So imagine there's the window of the booth, and I'm standing there. I'm fine. I just get back up and reappear. So I'm sure they thought that was funny too. But it was great fun to work on. I wish it had gone on longer.
Aside from that, what do you think about the storytelling that anime brings?
Well, anime, what we were talking about earlier is I do think anime, as opposed to American animation, their stories are so rich and they usually have something, I mean, even Pokemon has a lot of subtext, a lot of morals that we can learn from it, a lot of kind of bigger issues that most American animation doesn't really cover. American cartoons I've worked on, pretty much what you see is what you get, and it's exciting, and sometimes the writing is so amazing and so funny, but pretty much there's nothing below the surface. Anime, there's always kind of a deeper meaning you can find, and a lot of people have come up to say they've been rewatching Pokemon and realizing some things that they learned that they didn't, you learn a lot, you absorb a lot when you're a kid especially, and interestingly enough, most of the kids who come up who are now in their 20s are really amazingly, wonderfully caring people. And I'm going to say it's all because of Pokemon. Hello.
I apologize for this because I can only imagine how many times you've been asked this question. But I have to ask anyway. Who's your favorite Pokemon?
Pikachu!
I'm a like Charmander, Charizard type.
Charmeleon. Well, can we just go for the whole thing, or we have to pick the evolution? Then you feel like, oh, if I say Charizard, does that mean I don't like Charmander?
Well, yeah, because it's difficult because Charizard is so tiny. Like he's just small, like little baby Pokemon.
It's like saying
then
I liked you when you were 2, but
yeah,
not so much.
So if you pick Charmander, then you can't fly.
Right.
Whereas its wings.
Right, good point. So you would always have to go for the last evolution.
But Charmander's so cute, and Charizard is like really muscly.
This is tough. It's tough. I'm not sure. We'll have a bigger discussion on this at another time. How do you choose?
That's our next panel.
Oh, nice. Note to self. Write that down. Send your suggestions to C2E2. Yes.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hey. Thanks. Anyway, I was gonna say, since you're such a well-known voice actress, do you teach your daughter anything, and is she in the business with you?
I've done a couple of things. We were on Pokemon. We were Centric.
We both played Centric. Rena was, I think, maybe 4 or something.
Yeah.
I was holding her up twinly.
I did one other thing a while ago. I was in The Boy Who Wanted to Be a Bear. You read that too, right? I was like the little girl bear. But I couldn't read at the time, so I was in the booth, and my mother was in the booth too. She was reading.
I was sitting on the floor.
And
Rena was
like
in
it's a
front of me.
very small
It
booth.
was really small.
Good thing I was.
You were very small, not even 6 years old yet.
So I couldn't read.
And I was holding the
Still a
script,
child.
and I would, you were 12, you couldn't read. Adorable. She wouldn't mind you reading because she liked me reading to her. Let's do that. So just this
I
year.
still can't read.
So, I was reading off
read all the things.
I was reading off the script and telling her the lines so she would repeat them. But for the most part,
I'm not interested in voice acting, really. I like things in the arts. I'm not going to be like an accountant, I don't think. But I like to draw and photography. So
Cool.
she's
Thank you.
very good.
she's very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hello.
Hello. So I'm going to piggyback off of one of the questions earlier.
Okay.
I too am an aspiring voice artist, or trying to be, and I've had the honor of working with a gentleman here in Chicago. But my hardest difficulty I'm finding is a lot of the Chicago stuff is more industrial or audiobook, things like that.
Right.
Is there, where would be a good place for someone that would want to go into animation, number one? Number two, like, is there agency? I'm having trouble finding an agent or anything like that as well.
Okay, well, Chicago's not a bad place to be because oftentimes there's representation that's in New York, Chicago, and LA. So if you got an agent here, you'd want to get one that would have offices on the coasts as well.
Okay.
So that's one thing. There is not as much animation in New York as there used to be, so there's much more in LA.
Okay.
I do a lot of cartoon work, but that's not all I do. I think as an actor, you need to be able to do everything. And if you want to live in a place where you can actually give your landlord money to stay there, you have to be able to do everything because you can't. There are some cartoons that pay a lot of money, but most of them don't. So, and also let's say, just because we're here, we'll use Pokemon for example. That show, in the beginning, I could have been working for 6 hours, let's say, on an episode as one character. Towards the end, I might have worked 2. For that show, we got paid by the hour. So you can't pay your rent on that alone. So because of that, I do tons of things. I do commercials, I do audiobooks, I do English language programs, I do animation, millions of things to kind of pay my landlord.
Do you use also like a generalized demo or?
Yeah, so you definitely want to do that. So you want to be an actor, you take as many acting classes as you can. I think improv really helps with being able to come up with characters on the spot. Usually when I go in for an audition or even a job, I don't have the copy ahead of time. It's handed to me there and I have to do it then. When we would do Pokemon, we get the script and you just start. Most things I have are the same. I just did a video game, there it is. I didn't even know really what the character's voice sounded like until she played me a sample of it. And I had auditioned for that months ago. So, as an example. Then you do want to get your demo together, which is maybe 1 or 2 minutes. That's all it has to be. It can have 5 different voices that you do on it, whatever you do well, and that you want to be able to submit that. Some places, LA especially, they really want to hear your demo, they want to check out your website. In New York, it's not as much like that. And that's basically it. On voicebank.net, you can listen to a lot of people's demos, and then you can kind of get an idea of what people put on there. But you want to put your best. You want to get your foot in the door, and then kind of go from there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good luck. Thanks.
Yeah, so thanks for being here again. I have 2 questions. One, who are some of your biggest voice acting influences? Who got you into voice acting? And the second part, who's kind of your biggest influence while you were working with? When you were working in a session with other actors, who was kind of your biggest influence? Who did you learn from on the job?
Well, most for anime or anything that's been previously recorded, we work alone.
Mm-hmm.
So when I did Ninja Turtles, we all were in the room at the same time, which was really great, like a radio play. Everything else, I'm on my own. So in a way, I'm just in my head, and I have a great director.
Inspiration.
I inspire myself. Is that cool to say?
Yes.
Great director, great engineer, so everybody works together to kind of bring out the best. I watched a lot of cartoons when I was growing up, and I still watch a lot of cartoons. We are big on animation, so I kind of draw from everything. The amount, what I love about animation is that energy that goes into it. We watched a lot of cartoons when you were growing up, and I still, those influence the jobs I have now, my auditions. Everything influences me. I just did something for World of Warcraft, and I basically was a Klingon. Do you know, like that's yeah, she's like, have you ever watched Star Trek? And I think, yeah, I've seen it. So basically, to be an orc, it's a female Klingon, essentially. So that was awesome. We were just saying, that good thing I have cable, so I can watch TV all the time. But I'm a big fan of Speed Racer. Was one of my favorite cartoons ever, and in fact, Ash was basically Spritle, and also Rudolph from those Christmas specials, those stop action. He was got over here a little bit. She thinks I'm cute. He's got and so Ash kind of at the beginning had a bit more of that kind of stuffy nose thing, and then he basically he had some kind of nasal spray. Yeah. And then he was just here. So that show, Scooby-Doo, just cartoons in general were my biggest inspiration. And then I was a big Tick fan also. And so, I haven't copied any of those characters, but that was a show that I just loved so much. I still do. Should buy that. Is that on Netflix?
The live action one is not the cartoon though.
No, cartoon.
Yeah.
I need the cartoon. But nothing against live action. Anyway, so I don't have names to drop. Those are mine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi guys.
Hi.
I was actually going to ask that question.
Really?
I
Oh,
think
man.
something else like sweating behind it. It's okay.
Do you think of something else you need to go
I
back?
did. No.
Okay.
So, what I wanted to ask was, is there anybody now that, in terms of voice in general, that when they do anything in whatever role it is, whether it's like Billy West or whatever, do you have like a favorite voice actor now?
Well, I love Tara Strong. I've never told her that to her face, but she's listening. I just think first of all, her work is amazing, but the projects that she's been able to audition for, and we all know so many that she's done, think of what she's auditioned for and hasn't gotten. But those are cartoons I've watched, and that's what I would love to be auditioning for that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I think she's amazing, and you don't ever know it's her from. No.
Jimmy Neutron, right?
No, she's not there.
No,
She's
fairly on her.
but she was in Shaolin Showdown as Omi,
Oh
and then she was the what was that one with the Irish pig? The pig. Tiddlywinks. Tiddlywinks. That she's in that show, and she's so amazing. You guys never seen that? She was in that show. PBS. Yes, she's the Irish. Whatever, and then all the rage, and then what's it called? Wow. That crazy animated, she was the lady with the head, the chowder. You see, I can just take off her credits like that, right? I'm just kidding. What's that?
Wasn't Mel Brooks on Jakers?
Yeah, Jakers. That's what it was. That's right, Jakers. Amazing. Why did you get PBS? It's just called Jakers. I know, Tiddlywinks. That's not anything close. Tiddlywinks. Thank you for 3 people who have PBS. Talk to them about the local station. Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
Hi. What was your fondest memory doing Pokemon?
Getting the job. That show, I auditioned for it, I got called back, and actually that it lasted 8 years is probably my second fondest, because every year we didn't know if it was going to be renewed, we didn't know if we would have our jobs. The fact that it went on so long was amazing. I also, going to the first movie, we flew out to LA, and Rita was 1. She's in the little baby Bjorn, and we walked down the red carpet, and just such a neat
And we went
experience.
to another one, didn't we, with like the life-size,
Celebi. Yeah. Good times.
we played like one of those games where you have to act it out.
Charades. We'll do that if there are awkward
It's like the
silences.
team. Like, isn't that
Heads up.
Isn't that team game? It's like you have like teams and you have to.
That's charades.
Is it?
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't know charades was like playing against each other.
No, yeah. Yeah, you have teams.
Yeah.
There's only 2 of us at home. When we were playing games, there are no teams. Note to self.
Get friends.
So yeah, that, and then those are the best. Being on the show is good too.
What were we talking about?
Favorite ones. This hello favorite.
Hi, thanks again for coming out to season B2. I have 2 questions.
Okay.
The first one, you mentioned that whenever you do voice work, you usually do it by yourself in the studio. Be that as it may, is there any voice actor you like to work opposite of in terms of like any show that you've worked on in the past? Like you like being part with someone else?
Well, I was just at another convention last weekend and we did a radio play and I was with Rob Paulson and Maurice LaMarche and Phil Lamar and Richard Horvitz, and that was a dream come true. So if we were actually on a show, I think I would explode. That was an amazing experience. So I would put them down as, that's who I would love to work with. There's other people too, I hope no one gets their feelings hurt. But that was just an amazing thing.
Okay, and my second question is, you mentioned that you still watch cartoons to this day.
Yes.
Is there any cartoon is your current favorite right now, or you like to watch the most out of any at this point?
We've been so busy, we've hardly watched TV. We're just watching Castle right now. We've seen all Doctor Who's, we've seen the Sherlock, Psych is over.
Psych's over. I
We
cried.
haven't watched any cartoons lately.
I like Winx Club. That's my favorite. Is it back on?
It's
Somewhere.
I like watching Winx Club. We went to like this opera kind of thrift store when I was little, and they had Winx Club costumes. And my grandmother just sent me a picture of me in the costume.
As Bloom.
And I always loved how they were like suspended in the air. They do that like a dance thing. They transform. I always wished I could do that. With a jetpack.
You know, we haven't watched much lately. I don't know. I'm on a couple new shows, and that's what I'm kind of watching in my head as we're working on that. But, gosh, no, nothing else right now. Now that I mentioned the Tick, I'd like to watch a lot of those.
SpongeBob.
We're not really watching Adventure Time yet.
Show. I'm sorry. Don't listen. I don't understand.
Is it? Yeah. No, but we know to self, we will watch them.
We'll watch it.
Yeah, because we've been also on a lot of conventions with people from Adventure Time who are so amazing. John DiMaggio, we were doing a script and his Chewbacca sounds were like, he's an amazing guy. So for that reason alone, I'm going to start watching Adventure Time.
Cool, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi. I was wondering if you had any tips on like improving a range of voices you can do, because I'm interested in voice acting, but I think all I have going for me right now is like a voice.
Sure, so what you want to do is warm up. You know, you need to stretch a lot of voice acting is breath. So you want to start working on your breath, which is speaking from the diaphragm, which is basically from below the belly button, like from here. Big breaths so that your stomach fills up and that you're pressing in when you speak. So that's number 1. 2, your voice can come from all the way up here, maybe more in here, back in here, maybe the front, all the way in the back, kind of in here, kind of coming down to the chest, and then you can get really low. So you want to kind of work that whole range. And you can do that by first like, you know, those kind of things. All that loosening up, stretch out your tongue, stretch your range, and then you read things, placing it in the different spots. And that we start exercising and working that muscle, which is your range, I guess. That's what you need to do. And to practice that, you can read books, you can volunteer and read things. A lot of what I did when I first moved to New York, I volunteered places too. I helped out at auditions where I had to read many, many characters for people. I worked for the Jewish Guild for the Blind, which reads magazines and newspapers on the radio for people who are sight impaired. And that made me better at sight reading, so I could read very quickly, and it helped me to kind of differentiate from the narrator to the person who was being quoted, to kind of, so you can pop around. It's practice, practice, practice. Thank you. You're welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Kim.
I was working on Slayers.
Slayers was really fun. I don't know how many people have seen Slayers. It's an amazing show, so crazy and so much food being eaten. It was so fun. And that show, in the beginning, we had a little more time to work on it, and we were figuring out there's a lot of script that happened last minute, and so we had time to kind of enjoy it a little bit. When we worked on Revolution, Evolution R, that was done much more quickly, so it doesn't stick in my mind as much as the earlier shows, but it was really a blast. Again, we were alone in the booth, but we still had a lot of fun.
Hello.
Hello. I was wondering if you could discuss the problems of ADR.
The problems of ADR? Meaning?
Getting this to match up correctly with lip sync.
Well, a lot of it, if the script is really good, that they've already worked out kind of how the script will match the flap. But on Cubics, for instance, I don't speak Korean, but one thing I learned was that at the end of sentences, they end open. They have a sound that is open. So in matching that, we did have to tweak something so that it ended on an open sound, which is an interesting thing. And we just kind of realized it maybe into the second or third episode, like, oh, I understand it, so now we can expect it.
But also for like matching lip flaps, they have beeps in your headphones. It's like beep, 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 and then after the third beep, you start speaking. And usually you can see the picture in front, so you can kind of see the cartoon version talking, so you kind of know when to end.
And then you're also reading the script at the same time as you're trying to look, so that's kind of the thing that you master, being able to look at, it's a chameleon thing, to look at your script and look at the flap. Maybe one of the biggest challenges is that you read the script and you're about to start, and what you think the line is going to be, the person looks much different. When you're doing, like with Ninja Turtles, for instance, when we're doing that, you can say the line however you want. It's just how it fits in.
Because they do the drawing after based on the voices.
Yeah, it's called prelay. Yeah. So you have much more flexibility to kind of act it. In something else, you're matching the flap, and then you go on, and then you have to make it make sense. Thank you.
Hello, last question.
Yes.
So earlier we talked about two fellow voice actors you worked with, Kristen Freeman and Mark Daverson. Tell us about meeting those guys.
Well, with all of anime stuff, we all kind of know each other outside of the booth. It depends on where you are in the recording schedule. Sometimes you'll hear who has recorded before you, and sometimes you won't. So I know them because of outside, like passing in between, like I finished my session and they've come in, we all have a minute to chat. But they're both so extremely talented. I wish we actually worked in the room at the same time. Both very, very talented.
You said Mark was a nice guy, right?
He's a great guy. Like you were saying, in Berserk, Mark Dorezon plays a really mean guy. And he's not like that in real life.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I was just wondering, with Pokemon, why you left the show or what influenced that decision?
We were replaced. After season 8, Pokemon USA did not renew the contract with 4Kids, and they decided they wanted to do the show themselves. So we were informed that Soundalikes had been hired. We were just starting to prep the 10th anniversary special, which we thought we were doing, and they said, oh no, we already found people to do that. So we finished off the 7th season knowing that we weren't going on from that. So none of us left by choice. We didn't have any choice about to carry on or not. It was just over.
Hi. So I was wondering. That's loud.
It's loud, right?
Because you were a theater major all throughout college and grad school. So I was wondering if you had any dream roles, or if you still have roles that you would really like to play. I'm thinking specifically in theater, but any medium.
Well, I've never played Juliet. I probably won't now, unless it's a radio play. Oh, Romeo! But what I really like are playing roles that are quite different than myself, and I love the challenge of figuring out a new character, and having 8 seasons of Pokemon, we really could know those characters. I've done a lot of theater where I've toured for a year with some shows, and it's the same thing. It's so great. There we're saying the same lines every night, but it's so nice to be able to fully develop a character. I don't have any specific things. I'd love to play superhero. I suppose that's one of my things, just because it would be so exciting. But really, I just love working, and I'd love to keep working. I do a lot of audiobooks, and I get to do the whole play, and that's pretty fun.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Has there ever been any voice acting job that you tried out for, really wanted, that you didn't get? And also, is there any voice acting, like have you ever been a part of, or what in the last 10 years of cartoons, is there any show that you really want to be a part of?
I would like to be a part of every show. I watch cartoons, I wish I were on it. I audition for many things, most things I don't get. Like I think most actors would say you can have 100 auditions and maybe you get 5 jobs. It's just what happens. When I audition for something, I throw myself into it, I fully imagine what the character is, and I want to get the job so badly. And then I audition and I forget about it, because you just can't. I mean, even when I'm saying I just auditioned for this video game months ago, that was that. And then I got a call. She had taken the audition and kept it aside. So you never know. That's, for all of you aspiring actors, for all of you who live in this world, you never know what you say, what you do, how far-reaching that will be. You never know who that's going to touch. And so you commit 100% to everything you do. And then you wait and see what happens. So I don't know, I don't have any regrets for jobs I didn't get, because I just don't keep it in my mind. I'm very sad that Pokemon ended. I wish I was still on that, but there's nothing I could do about that. And it took me a long time to not be quite as sad. But I miss it. So that would be something, in a way, I wish I were still doing. But otherwise, I just look forward all the time.
All right, thank you.
Hello.
Hey, babe.
Yeah, it's shocking. It's really echoey.
Yeah, really.
We probably don't need microphones.
Voice. Love.
We can still hear you.
Just want to overpower.
Or project.
Yeah. Just wanted to say hello again, especially because I saw you in Lexington. I got to sign my King of Praise Gal Gar. Still my favorite anime.
Good.
And I was kind of wondering, because I'm an animator, very amateur, but an animator. And I was kind of wondering what you thought would be like the best situation to do voice acting. Like I know that there's many different ways when it comes to having actors in the room or being completely separated, seeing visuals on the screen or just a script. Just what's the ideal situation for you as an actress doing the voiceover for a cartoon?
It doesn't matter to me, because as long as the ideal situation is that you don't feel rushed because of the budget, that you don't have to, let's say you have 60 lines to do and you've got to get it done in an hour because we don't have any time, and the deadline is tomorrow. That kind of thing is what makes it difficult. The ideal situation is having some time to discuss things, try some things out, make sure everyone is happy. If the animator is there, make sure that this is the voice that fills the character that's been created. It doesn't matter to me if I'm alone in the booth matching flap, if I'm with 10 people doing it live, like a prelay, you know, it doesn't matter. But as long as there's a little space to really create something unique and suiting the character, that's the ideal.
Okay. Okay, thanks a lot.
Hello again.
Hello.
You did a lot of multiple roles with Pokemon. Whenever you would have to have two characters who were, say, having a conversation with one another, would you prelay one, then another session?
No, the same day. We just go through all the lines for Pokemon, for instance, all the lines for Ash, all the lines for May, and then all of Ash's mom, let's say if she was in it too.
Okay. Would there be a preferred way as far as, would you rather do the major character first and the minor second?
I'll always do Ash first.
Okay.
Only because for me, he's the important one.
Okay.
He's the one who kind of sets the tone, and then I would bounce everything off of that in my mind, you know. But and that's the most taxing voice, so I'd rather get that out of the way and then move on to others.
Thank you.
How was it like on Dinosaur King? So I think all of the voice actors again.
Yeah, that was a great thing, and definitely the role I played, Max, on Dinosaur King was definitely sounded more Ash-like on purpose. I think I was cast to do kind of an Ash knockoff because we had just lost the show, and that's why I was cast.
It was
And
very
actually-
similar.
It was very similar.
I mean,
On
kind of
purpose.
like the show
The
itself.
show was too, right?
Like collecting cars, you know.
Right. But so, I mean, I didn't know all those dinosaur names before that, so that was really great. It's helped me a lot because I do, I read the dictionary for Scholastic, and I've had to do a lot of dinosaur names. And Miss Frizzle, I did a Magic School Bus app. That was all about dinosaurs. So Dinosaur King has really helped me immensely with future.
Can I give you that?
Yeah, I thought with your lollipop. It's very funny to see you in that makeup, because I'm sure you don't look like this every day. But if you do, that's okay, but coming out with your lollipop, it's very funny. Yes?
I count you as one of the top voice actresses up there.
Thank you, that's so
Up there
nice.
with some of the best.
Thank you.
So thank you. I love Pokemon.
Oh, thank you, that's so
I watch Pokemon today. Yes, I still watch Pokemon today.
That's okay. Many people do.
There's
a support group for that. It's meeting after.
I have two questions. First question. Your natural voice, just the way you talk right now, you sound like me.
Thank you. Just a little bit higher, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of, maybe May was
You sound like a more
somewhere.
distinguished the way you normally talk.
May at 20. Go with it. Go with it.
What I've noticed is, not only you, but Michelle Ruff, she talks just like Lucia Kuchi and Bleach. Johnny and Bosch, his normal way he talks sounds like Ichigo. Well, you kind of answered my question, how to picture something, but is it kind of weird? Is it kind of weird if you have to voice for a character and it's somewhat like your voice, but you're kind of off? And
Well, April is very close to my real voice. So it's you have to kind of adjust a little bit. And when you do a character that's close to your own voice, it's harder to do other ones because you're already right here and everything comes from your middle, you know? So, you know, I could be Ash, and I could be May, and I could be Ash's mom, and they're different in there. And, but nothing is this, my mid-range, you know? Yeah, it's not, I mean, I prefer doing things that are very far from my normal voice, but, you know, if I get cast as this, I'll do it.
Second, I'm not asking you to be all mean about torture, but how do you feel that major actors and actresses get voice acting roles when there are people like you who worked years and years to perfect it, and like, why weren't you in Wreck-It Ralph? You know?
Well, you know, I mean, part of that is I don't have auditions for stuff like that. And so I would hope to book something better like that, but at this point I don't ever audition for anything like that. But you know, it all comes down to business. And I think now, look at Broadway even, everybody's bringing big names in because they think that's what people will go to see. they put big names in a movie because they think that's going to bring the box office. And so far they haven't been proved wrong. So I don't know. I mean, I would love to do something a higher caliber like that. I certainly wouldn't turn down an audition for that. But it is hard, especially when some people, they're just doing their regular voices. And so it's just being known for their regular voice. At least you have some people who like Steve Carell. He was so good, and you didn't really know it was Steve Carell. You could listen for a while and go, I kind of recognize him, but he was doing a voice, and that, I think, is better than people just being themselves because they're stars.
Thank you for answering my question. Thanks for being one of the 3 trifecta of my childhood.
You're welcome.
Who the other 2?
Yeah, who were the other 2?
Dragon Ball Z.
All right. Dragon Ball Sim? Is that what you said, Sim?
No, Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon. Nice, what a wide variety you have there. It's PBS related. Yes.
Hi there, Steve. First off, I wanted to thank you for all the information you've given. I mean, I definitely, talking to myself at least, was starting to feel desperate and trying to find voices back. So I definitely wanted to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
One thing that I did want to still figure out, as far as when we want to do like audiobooks and things like that versus a demo for like an animation, is it okay to have the same demo?
You need a different demo. Commercially, you need a different demo. You need to have spots recorded, basically, for commercial.
Okay.
For animation, you need to showcase your voices. And then for audiobook, you need to have, 2 pages of book recorded.
Okay.
So they're definitely all very different demos.
That's good to know. And then is it a good idea to do it on your own or have someone professionally do it?
I don't think it's ever a good idea to do it on your own because you want to have professional sound. So often when I record stuff at home for auditions and different things, but it's even that, you want a professional booth and you want someone to edit it and then you also, it's better to have another set of ears, a director if you can. Someone may be able to find something that you do so well that you didn't think of. If you're doing the audiobook, you may, you're thinking, okay, you're reading the thing, you do the characters, but you may not push yourself far enough on your own, but a director will. So I think it's always better to work with someone else.
Thank you. Thank you again, Martin, for putting to me on all this.
Oh, you're welcome.
Again, another question. First, a comment. Again, thanks for being here. I'm an aspiring voice actor myself. I'm planning on taking classes in Chicago for just beginning voice acting, voiceover. And also, just one more question, kind of a geeky question. Did you feel you were able to deal on the Ninja Turtles revamp show in 2003?
Right, 2003-ish, yeah.
Did you feel any pressure from certain fans about, you're not as good as the previous voice actress? Or
not from fans, because I don't really go online that much to read reviews, so I was blissfully unaware of anyone being upset about it. But I felt the pressure from myself because the show was so important to me. I loved the original Turtles and the idea of kind of filling these iconic shoes. There was a lot of pressure. But Sue Blue was directing it, and she's amazing. And in her hands, I felt if she's okay with it, then I am too.
Well, I do pity you for not knowing about the fan backlash. Believe me, just less the better. And less said the better.
Right, I haven't read anything, so good or bad. So.
Thanks again.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, do we have any other questions? How many of you live in Chicago? Nice, very nice.
Where would be, let's say, the best pizza, would you say?
Illuminati.
Right. So, what is it? Paisano. Okay.
Yeah. That Pisano.
Okay. We ate at Bob's last night.
Oh, okay.
I can't fully say because this is being recorded. We're from New York. We have pizza there.
But the way they make it is so different. The way they make it is so different than the way we make
For
it.
Chicago pizza, it was
Yeah,
really awesome.
Pizza was good because they do the cheese on the bottom and then the sauce. But we do the opposite way. We do sauce first and
Come
then
to New
cheese.
York. We've got pizza there.
It's
What's
thin.
that?
Pizza should not be folded.
Oh, wow. You know, one time I saw a fireman come into a pizza place and he put one slice on top of the other, folded it, and ate it that way. Why do you eat two at the same time? Saves time.
Go to Denver, they put honey on it.
What?
Honey.
On their crust.
Honey on the
Oh, on the
crust.
crust. I would see that.
Let's
I would
go
do
to
that.
Denver. Let's take a trip.
I would.
No,
I would.
it's hot.
Okay, all right.
Wait, do they put honey on it?
Like dipping sauce, so like it's a pull off crust and then you can dip it.
I would so do that.
Yeah. All right.
But
Well,
not,
you know, we're going
but
to
not
Denver.
with the like cheese and tomato sauce.
We're going to Denver soon. Maybe June.
Follow
June.
us.
Oh, we'll put it on Twitter. We'll tweet about the honey.
Yeah.
And only you guys will know what we're talking about. Or maybe the people in Denver.
And then we'll be like, oh, it's an inside.
Then we'll still go. Chicago's better. But it's so good.
We like New York pizza too.
Are you coming up because you want to end this? Oh, okay, go ahead.
He's a little shy. So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What were some of your most moments on Family Slayers?
What is my most memorable?
Yeah, like pictures, just like background.
Well, I have this, my favorite part was Amelia standing on top of the church, the spire on top of the church, and just singing out. And that, for me, is Amelia, and is everything I want to be. So free, so unafraid of heights, and just up there, because she has that super, super high voice that really, if you talk that high, it makes you feel kind of high. You know, like, I would leave there and be in such a good mood. So I love that. And at one point I was doing Slayers and Pokemon together, and Amelia was so fun to play and so out there, and I love Truth, Justice, and Love just as much as she does, so it was a really great character. And Ash, in comparison, is just very low-key. You know, battling and catching stuff and eating. You know, it doesn't really do, in comparison, it was a really nice thing to have.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I think we have about 5 minutes left, or 4. Yes?
I want to ask, have you ever, even for like milliseconds, played any Pokemon?
I have. I've played Pokemon games. The question was, have you ever, even in a millisecond, played Pokemon games?
Yes.
And I have Fire Red.
We own that game. We played it.
I played it.
My little brother was 10 when Pokemon started, and he's like, oh, this is a great game. Here, this is how it goes. And I said, oh, great, let me see it. He goes, let me show you how to do it. Okay, let me try it. No, I'll show you. You just go like this. So no, I never played that. So I had my own child, and she does the same thing.
Well, but also, like, I got to a point where, like, you'd be going down this river, and then if you didn't battle this one guy, you couldn't go into, like, the big palace, and then there was, like, a haunted building, and you had to find a gym leader.
This is Red. We're going way back.
Red. You had to, like, find the gym leader because he went missing or something, but I could never find him. And then you'd just be running into all these Pokemon, and I'm, like, at a point, I was just like, oh, I don't wanna battle you, I don't wanna catch you, so I'd always run away, and then you'd be walking through the grass, and just, oh, not another one. So I just kind of stopped after a while. And I went on to, like,
we should bring our
I went on
dances.
to, like, this farm game.
Yeah. But we should bring
That's not Pokemon. But you do get to ride a horse on that, just like jumping. It's kind of the same thing.
Hi, I came in late, so I'm sorry if this question's already been asked. But can you tell me how you came into the role of Ash?
I was working on Slayers, and that's how I got the audition, because the same people who were doing Slayers got Pokemon.
Were you excited about it? Or?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I didn't know anything about Pokemon when I went to audition for it, but just the idea of auditioning for something that seemed so great, and right away the characters seemed great, the color of the animation was really neat, and just the animation style, I really liked. So yeah, I was super excited.
Shake your hand.
Shake my hand? Okay.
Did you watch them?
Yes. Thank you. You should have said that before.
Hello, third time around. This time is for you. This time is for you. Did you ever go into school and try and boast to tell all your friends about how your mom was Ash Ketchum?
Yes.
Did they ever believe you?
Okay, well, I mean, the thing is, when I was little, in like first grade or something, my friends, there was like this group of people who would, I think, play the card games. So I was like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna be really cool and go up and be like, yeah, so my mom's the voice of Ash on the TV show, right? And they just turn to me and be like, okay, cool, all right, and then just turn back around. So after that point, I realized, well, I have to figure out on my own way to make friends. But also, okay, no one really cares. Because, you know, like, no one cares. But this, I'm in 10th grade, and last year, this was like a swarm of new people came to my school. And one day, I was like waiting at my locker or something, and some kid comes up to me and was like, oh, was your mom on, like, Pokemon? And I was like, yeah, like, it doesn't matter. And he was like, oh my god. They, like, pulled someone else over. They were like, her mom is the voice of Ash on Pokemon. And of course, the kid was like, okay. And so, I mean, like, there's that balance. And one of my teachers was like, I looked up your mom last night when I saw videos. I saw videos of you, and you were so little, and you were just so cute. And I was like, okay.
Actually get extra,
But yeah, I know that was some. But some people now, like my friends who I've been with since like kindergarten, don't care because they know my mom. She's come on field trips. She does things. I mean, it's not a big deal. But some new kids are like, oh, it becomes a bigger deal. Like one kid, he was like, I love your mom. Like literally, he's like, I love her. She's so great. And I was like, oh well, I can get you like an autograph or whatever. And he's like, that would be awesome. And so I like got one of my little Pokemon cards and I gave it to him the next day, and he freaked out. I was like, oh wait, I have something for you. And I gave it to him. He was like, oh my god. And he like ran. He was like, this is the best thing. And he was like running up and down. And some people were like, what? And they like swarmed and they like went around him, but they were all looking at the Pokemon card, and he was like, she's amazing, blah, blah, blah. And then my mom came to pick me up, like a couple days later, and I saw him, I was like, oh, my mom's right here if you want to meet her. And he was like, yes! And he came back, and he was like, I love your work, you're so great. But that's, like, he was the most enthusiastic person I've ever met, I think, at my school. So that's all, that's it. Not really, I did try though.
Hi, I'm actually with the production team for the live broadcast. So I've got 2 questions for you.
Okay.
One, can you please do a shout out for our engineer's daughter, Mackenzie?
Mackenzie?
She's watching and she can't be here.
Sure.
The second one
We'll
is...
have to do that first.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey Mackenzie, next time you gotta be here! You gotta catch them all. My interviews, that is.
People in the chat room watching the stream are actually asking about some of the other voices that you've done, if you could maybe run through a couple of those.
No, you really, when you say people in chat rooms watching the stream, you really couldn't have said that 6 years ago even.
No.
Like that, and we all go, instead of just bursting out laughing, right? Other voices I've done. So I used to do a lot of Saturday morning cartoons, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Shaman King, Funky Cops, Dinosaur King, Winx, Mew Mew, a ton of those things. Anime, Nana 7 of 7, His and Her Circumstances, Norway, oh my gosh, Slayers, gosh, there's so many.
So a lot.
Yeah, I've done many, and
Can you do a couple of the voices?
I worked on Sheep, on a word world, and there's obviously Amelia and Ash Ketchum. There's not that many. There's like in Nana 7 of 7, I played 8 Nanas, so it's all of her personalities: the angry, the happy, the sad. Those I can't bring up. Our time is up, thank God, so it saved me from that.
Thank you.
Those are my most memorable ones. I do want to say, C2E2, I